Hey guys, thanks for checking out another one of my videos. Today I wanted to tackle the topic of different weighted cue balls and how they react on the table. So without further ado, let's get started. The cue balls I'll be using for this video will be the Aramith Red Circle cue ball that weighs the normal pool ball weight of around 5.8 ounces and has a diameter of 2¼ inches. Next will be the oversized cue ball that can be found on some coin-operated pool tables. This ball is 1/4 inch larger and 28% heavier than a normal pool ball. This ball weighs in at 7.4 ounces. The third cue ball is from a set I got several years ago. I don't know who made it, but I am guessing it came from a kid-sized pool table since it is very light. It's the same size of a normal pool ball, but is 31% lighter and weighs only 4 ounces. Last, I'll be using a golf ball for some shots. You typically won't find these on any pool table, but they will come in use later. These weigh in at only 1½ ounces and are 74% lighter than a normal pool ball. Before I start the first example, I need to explain that all the object balls' weight will remain the same for the upcoming shots. The only difference will come from using cue balls with different weights and the occasional golf ball mixed in. In this first example, I projected a line for the expected cue ball path that leads to the corner pocket, and the tangent line to the shot which leads to the short rail. These are here for references so we can compare how each cue ball travels. The first example is a common shot that comes up a lot during play. A rolling half ball hit with an equally weighted cue ball results in the cue ball traveling down the expected path into the corner pocket. If I use a cue ball that's heavier than the object ball, the cue ball easily drives through the object ball, which results in the cue ball going forward and avoiding the scratch. When I use a cue ball that's lighter than the object ball, the cue ball bounces off the object ball just a little bit, which results in the cue ball staying behind the expected path. And now for our first golf ball shot. This is to demonstrate that the laws of pool do not only apply to pool balls. Generally speaking, as long as two balls are of equal weight, they will share some common behaviors as the pool balls. Since these two balls weigh the same, the golf ball follows the expected path perfectly. Now we will see how tangent line paths behave. In this example, I have the cue ball sitting an inch away from making the 5 ball in the side. The cue ball is frozen to another ball so I can get a perfect center ball hit, which will cause the cue ball to follow the tangent line after striking the 5 ball. I am hitting the shot with good speed to make sure the cue ball doesn't pick up any forward spin on its way to the 5 ball. And as expected, the equally weighted cue ball follows the tangent line perfectly. But did you notice that the cue ball had right spin coming off of the rail? This is from the cue ball and the 5 ball rubbing against each other. Anytime you cut a ball, there is a small amount of friction that adds spin to the cue ball. In this example, I was cutting the 5 ball to the left, so the cue ball picked up a little bit of right spin. For this shot, I am using the heavier cue ball, and as we've seen before, it drives through the object ball, resulting in a path that's forward of the tangent line. It drives forward so much that it almost follows the rolling cue ball path. Now I'm using a lighter cue ball, and this bounces back so far that it scratches in the other pocket. Next, I'll show how follow shots behave. To start, I will begin showing how an equally weighted cue ball follows on the table. There is a slight pause when the two balls meet until the cue ball picks up speed from the forward spin. I was able to get about 2½ tables worth of follow. Using follow on a heavier cue ball is very easy since it drives through the object ball with its extra mass. I was able to get nearly 3 table lengths of follow. The lighter cue ball resulted in the most interesting path. The lighter cue ball doesn't go nearly as far though, since a lot of the forward spin was lost while the ball was going in the opposite direction. Now I'll show you what draw shots look like. I'll begin with a typical draw shot with an equally weighted cue ball. It pauses for a moment at impact, and then the backspin makes it pick up speed. Getting any amounts of draw on a heavier cue ball is very difficult, since the cue ball wants to keep going forward in the initial direction. The weight of the object ball is not enough to completely stop the cue ball, so some of the backspin is lost just to get it to stop first before returning back to me. As you might expect, getting draw on a lighter cue ball is very easy, since the cue ball bounces away from the object ball at impact. Any backspin on the ball just adds to the rebounding effect and makes it draw very far. Now let's see some stop shots. I'll begin as usual with what a stop shot should look like. The golf tee marks the center of where the cue ball will be at impact. If the two balls are of equal weight and there is no spin on the cue ball, then it should stop dead on the golf tee. Getting a stop shot is impossible with a cue ball that's heavier than the object ball, since there isn't enough mass to make it stop. But I am showing what it would look like if the cue ball needed to be in the same place as before. The cue ball goes forward a little at impact, which means I need backspin to pull it back to the golf tee position. Getting a stop shot is impossible with a cue ball that's lighter than the object ball, since the cue ball wants to bounce off the heavier object. But I am showing what it would look like if the cue ball needed to be in the same place as before. The cue ball bounces back a little, which means I need topspin to push it forward back to the golf tee position. And here's another golf ball example. I am able to get a perfect stop shot since the two balls are of equal weight and the cue ball doesn't have spin. If I had two bowling balls of equal weight, I would have included that as well, but I don't think my pockets are big enough. Last but not least, let's see how the Trisect Draw System works. This system can accurately tell where your cue ball will head while using good action draw. The cue ball will head in the direction of triple your cut angle. In this example, I have a 30-degree cut shot, so my cue ball will run parallel to the 90-degree line from my initial cue ball path. If you want more information, I will post a link down below. Now I'll begin with what a normal shot looks like. The cue ball heads towards the intended target and makes the 5-ball as expected. The Trisect system for draw doesn't work at all for the heavier cue ball since it's very difficult to achieve the desired draw for the system to work, and because the cue ball wants to keep going forward through the ball. This attempt didn't even come close, so I tried a few more times to make the 5-ball, and this was as close as I could get. As we found out before, using a lighter cue ball allows for more draw. The cue ball achieves way too much draw and misses on the other side. I put together some scenarios to see these principles in play. The top screen shows a normal break shot with equally weighted object balls and cue ball. The bottom shows a break of all the lighter object balls against the heavy cue ball. The rack explodes a lot easier since the cue ball is nearly double the mass of the lighter balls. I tracked the back left corner ball to see how their speeds compared, and it's very easy to see one is definitely faster than the other. Here's a scenario that can only be achieved with a heavy cue ball. The 8-ball is frozen, and I'm calling the corner pocket. The 8-ball easily travels to the pocket with plenty of speed to spare. I don't believe you can make a frozen ball travel the entire length of the table with equally weighted balls. If you can, please let me know. In this example, I am trying to carom the 8-ball off of the 9-ball into the bottom side pocket. But since the 8-ball and 9-ball are the same weight, this is not possible. Here is my best attempt, and the 8-ball doesn't even come close. But if the 8-ball weighed less than the 9-ball, then the bounce back could send the 8 into the side pocket as seen here. Scratching on the 8 while using draw as shown is impossible with equally weighted balls. But if you have a heavier cue ball, you can actually send the cue ball past the object ball and scratch in the pocket behind it. Yikes! Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you found some of these shots as interesting as I did. I plan on revisiting this topic in the future to show a lot more game scenarios that involve different weighted cue balls. If there's a topic you'd like to see me tackle, please let me know. Until my next video, I hope you shoot well and have fun.